it is a disaster in the making right now in New York because both the Mets and Yankees now in the midst of two bad losing streaks. Both teams have now suffered 5 straight losses, 2 weekends to forget. Let's go right at it here on the Sports Talk Nation. So, the Mets, they lose 5 in a row. The Yankees, they lose 5 in a row. As we right now sit here in the middle of April, and both fan bases are in full panic mode, and you can certainly understand why. Now, I'm going to tell you which team is in more dire straits, because it is April. It's still early. We've got a long way to go, a long season. I get all of that. You want to be optimistic and play the glass half full, you go right ahead. But the fact is this. Between the two teams, the team that should be worried the most and the fan base that should be panicking the most is the New York Met fan. Because this product that we have seen here, now not just these 5 games, but for 2+ weeks, 16 games, as they sit here at 7-9, now heading to L.A. to take on the defending World Series champion L.A. Dodgers, who, outside of a loss today, have looked like world beaters yet again. The New York Mets have been terrible. Yes, last weekend they had a 3-game winning streak at the end of that series in San Francisco, and you're thinking to yourself, maybe they can figure this out. Maybe there's something here. No! Right now there's nothing here, because this is a team that is playing listless baseball. They are exactly what I was concerned about. They are a group that has been stitched together with different pieces that right now do not fit. They look like a team that's completely and totally lost, okay? And we all see it on the field. We see it in the way they approach their at-bats. We see it in the way they approach plays on the field. You have Francisco Lindor, who looks completely overwhelmed and totally lost at the plate and in the field, whether it be forgetting how many outs there were in an inning against the Cardinals a couple weeks ago, whether it be failing to get to second base to cover in a game against the A's on Saturday. It's these little things that keep propping up. And then even in the 9th inning yesterday, you have Bo Bichette, who hasn't done anything. He has done absolutely nothing since joining the Mets. I knew he was hitting .235. That's better than some of the others on his team, who has done nothing. First pitch he sees, he grounds right out to second base. First pitch. Are you kidding? Why can't you work the count? Why can't you take a pitch? The first pitch you see in the 9th inning with 2 out, you ground right out. So who is to blame? As this Met team had only 4 hits, 4 on Sunday against the A's. We're 0 for 3. With runners in scoring position, and didn't have an extra base hit at all on Sunday. Managed only 9 runs in those 5 games in this homestand between the Diamondback series and the A's series. They got their butts kicked. And look, don't sit here and tell me the A's are a bad team. The A's are a good team. We know that. Okay, they're a good young bunch. They have some good young players on that team. They're going to be around. I don't know what's the case here with the Mets, because they don't have an identity. So you sit here and say, I see these things on social media. Everyone, when the Mets were losing these games, want to blame Carlos Mendoza. Oh, he stinks. Let's fire the manager. Yeah, let's do that again. Do you really think that Carlos Mendoza, despite all the warts that he has had as a manager, and there are warts, okay, for example, not playing your 2 best, most consistent hitters in the lineup right now in Luis Robert and Francisco Alvarez in this game on Sunday, outside of things like that, or as maybe the case has been the case even last year, issues managing the bullpen. Is it really all his fault for the way this team is playing at the start of this season? Is it really all his fault? Keep in mind, this is a manager who is managing with a coaching staff that is completely and entirely new from the one he had last year. Everybody got wiped out off that coaching staff except for him from last season. Everybody. Whether it be the hitting coaches, whether it be the pitching coaches. Jeremy Hefner was a well-respected pitching coach. He got the axe at the end of the last season. Bench coach, out of here. Everyone got cleaned out. So he's managing with a new coaching staff and also pretty much a new baseball team when you think about all the moves the Mets made last offseason. So who's to blame for all this? Is it really Carlos Mendoza, or is it David Stearns, who built this team? He built this team. You can talk about firing the manager all you want, and look, I agree with you. A lot of people out there, look, you want to sit there and say that he's on borrowed time, or Mendoza? He probably is, because he'll probably end up being the fall guy. If this continues, and if the Mets losing continues, going into May, and into June, he probably will be the fall guy. I agree with you there. I agree with you 100%. But it isn't all his fault. Not when you have players who aren't living up to their capabilities, and not when you have a team that was badly put together. Badly put together. And that's why I also got to get on some Met fans and also got to just get on even Stearns here, because the attitude the Mets had this offseason was, let's clean everything out. Let's get rid of the guys who are the dead weights, and let's basically do a hard reset with new players. So outward guys like were core players. Alonso gone. Nimmo gone. McNeil gone. Okay? Edwin Diaz. We're not going to pay $3 extra million. See you later. Goodbye. He's going to L.A. You think the Mets would like to have some of those guys right now? They had 4 hits Sunday. Do you think they'd like to have some of those guys right now? Here, let me just proof is in the pudding, right? Jeff McNeil had 6 hits and 13 trips to the plate this weekend for the Athletics against the Mets. He got big-time revenge against the Mets, and he had 6 hits and 13 at-bats. You know what he's hitting right now in the year, folks? He's hitting .318. Jeff McNeil is hitting .318. That leads the A's. Are you kidding? This is the guy that they traded to Texas, remember? Or this is the guy that they traded to the A's because they acquired Marcus Semien in a trade with the Texas Rangers, a trade in which they sent Brandon Nimmo to Texas. Oh, speaking of Brandon Nimmo, what's he hitting right now? Oh, that's right. He's hitting 367 with a .433 on-base percentage. Guess what? That leads the Texas Rangers in hitting. Brandon Nimmo leads the Texas Rangers in hitting. Jeff McNeil leads the Sacramento, Las Vegas A's in hitting. Let that sink into you right now, David Stearns, and you Met fans. Edwin Diaz, 4 saves. I know he's got some arm trouble. They said his velocity is down. You heard Gary Cohen talking about that. But still 4 saves for the Dodgers. You miss him? You miss him, Met fans? Because you will this week when you see the Dodgers on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Pete Alonso, I know he's hitting 190. I know he's hitting 190 for the Orioles right now, but Pete Alonso, 2 for 4 to a run scored in a game the Orioles needed to tie first place with the Yankees. In the AL East, he went 2 for 4 against the Giants in a 6-2 win. You miss him? You had 4 hits, folks. You scored 9 runs in 5 games that you all lost. You wish you had some of these guys back? I'm sure you do. Because, and by the way, here's another one. Rangers, the Rangers beat the Dodgers on Sunday, whom the Mets will face Monday, as I said, with the LA Dodgers. Guess who pitched for the Rangers in that game that they won on Sunday? Some guy named Jacob deGrom. You may have heard of him. 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, 4 hits, a run. They actually got some run support for him, 5 runs. But yeah, I know he's always injured and he's probably cooked. And heck, the Mets probably wouldn't have scored any runs from him anyway. But yeah. You think the Mets would love to have some of these guys back? You think the Met fan would love to have some of these guys back? You bet your ass they would. So you could sit there again, blame manager. It's all about how this team was put together. Now, it could change. It could certainly change in the next several, anything's possible. We've seen this team in the past get off to fast starts where they're playing great baseball and you're thinking, wow, where's this? What are the possibilities? And then, as we saw last year, it all falls apart in the second half of the season. Maybe the opposite happens this year. Maybe with the struggles this year in the early part of the year, they figure it out, gel as a team, guys start to figure it out, and maybe lo and behold, when we're sitting here in September, this team's finding its way into the postseason, and we're saying, gee, that video we did back in April, mid-April, after getting swept by the A's, boy, that looks stupid right now. I hope that's the case. I hope to God that's the case with the Mets. But right now, doesn't look like it. This looks like a team that is, again, this is a team that is not playing on the same page. This is a team that right now doesn't believe in itself. This is a team that doesn't believe in the next man up. They don't believe in one another. That's how they're playing right now. Now, the pitching has been adequate. Freddie Peralta's been, I guess, somewhat disappointing. He pitched well Sunday. 5-8 went 6 innings, his longest outing of the year. I spoke about this in the Mets preview. He's a 5-inning pitcher. That's who he was last year in Milwaukee. 5-inning pitcher here with the Mets. Walked 3, struck out 6. That's what he is. You're going to have to rely on your bullpen when he pitches. But he pitched well the other day. Pitched well on Sunday, in spite of the loss. But your two best pitchers have been Clay Holmes, who had an injury on Friday with the hamstring tightness, and Owen McClain, and that's it. Heck, you've already seen the Mets DFA two pitchers in Richard Lovelady and Luis Garcia. These are two big additions in the offseason. They've already been DFA'd. So it's not looking good for the Mets. It's not looking good for David Stearns or Steve Cohen, and certainly for Carlos Mendoza. It's not looking good for anybody right now. They are a team that is completely and totally in the dark. And as I said, they got the Dodgers now this week, followed by the Cubs on the weekend. Both of these series on the road. It could get dicey. It could get real ugly fast. I mean, if the Mets have a 1-5 road trip, which is not out of the question, and they're sitting there at 8-14, it's going to get late early. It's going to get late early. So they got to figure it out, or they could be in big, big trouble. I know, it's only April. Now, speaking of 5-game losing streaks, they're the New York Yankees that sit here right now at 8-7. This was a team that was 8-2 not that long ago. Have now lost 5 straight games in their offense. Speaking of bad offense, the Mets offense, we talked about that being a bad offense. At least the Mets have hit 246 in the last 7 games. The Yankees in their last 7 games have hit 170 as a team. They have been awful. And they got owned by the Tampa Bay Rays this week. 3 straight losses to them, all of them very close. 5-3 on Friday, 5-4 on Saturday. Then again, could have been 5-2 on Sunday until Aaron Judge hit a 2-run bomb in the 9th, but made it a little bit closer. But again, the Yankees right now are not playing good baseball. And it's a lot of the same problems for the Yankees that we have seen for some time. And I know the reason I say the Mets may be in more drastic situation than the Yankees are is because, look, the Mets have to play the Dodgers this week. The Mets are basically a rebuilt team that doesn't have an identity right now. The Yankees, they do have an identity. We expect them, even in spite of this, to still find a way to get to 90 wins and be a contender in the AL East. At least they're tied for first place, whereas the Mets are now 3rd, 4th place, a couple games back. Yankees right now, in spite of their problems, still have the back of the baseball card that says they should figure this out. But the problem is this, and again it relates to the offseason. The Yankees didn't make many moves in the offseason. They didn't do much to change what faulted them last year. What faulted them last year and the last several years is the fact that they are home run or nothing. If they don't hit home runs, they don't score. They're not a hit-and-run baseball team. They haven't been a hit-and-run baseball team in a very long time. They rely a lot on the home runs. And it even shows this week. Look at this. I mean, right now they're hitting .202 as a team. Outside of what? Ben Rice, who's hitting .356, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. I mean, okay, you have Judge who's hitting, has 4 home runs as well. Outside of those two, you're not getting anything. And Judge is hitting right now .218 on the year. Everybody else has been struggling. Jazz Chisholm's hitting .179. Cody Bellinger hitting .241, but only 1 home run to show for it. Jose Caballero, .146. Trent Grisham. I said Trent Grisham was going to be very important for the Yankees during my preview. So if he has to have as good a year as he had last year, if he doesn't, it's going to be a problem. He's hitting .133 right now to start the year. Austin Wells really struggling at .154. Of course, they don't have Anthony Volpe right now, who's still coming back from shoulder surgery. They got a problem. And the problem is that they don't hit well enough. They got a lot of guys who can flex the muscle, a lot of guys who scare you in that lineup that can hit, 400 to 500 foot home runs all over the place, but they can't sustain an inning. And that's a concern. It was a concern in the postseason. It was a big concern in the postseason. So, yeah, even with the fact that the Yankees have 2 really good starting pitchers at the top of the rotation right now in Cam Schuyler and Max Fried, doesn't matter. Schuyler pitched pretty well on Sunday. 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. Not great. His worst outing of the year, obviously. But it's not enough. And right now the Yankees find themselves here at 8-7 in a three-way tie for first place in the AL East. What scares you with the Yankees is this. If you're a Yankee fan, it's not only the fact that they don't score runs enough or they don't hit well enough in situational baseball, it's the fact that they're struggling again in the AL East. This is a division where the Yankees last year were only 2 games over 500 in the division. They were 27-25 in the AL East last year, and a lot of their losses last year were to the Blue Jays and the Red Sox, both who ate them alive. And, of course, that came to pass in the postseason when they faced the Blue Jays again. And now here they are against the Rays, and they're 0-3 against the Rays, who are rejuvenated, who are back in their own stadium, who look like the Rays of old all over again. And that's a problem for the Yankees. If the Rays are good, and we know the Orioles are pretty good, someone's got to figure it out between Toronto and Boston. I know they're both right now struggling, but eventually one of them is going to figure it out. That could be a problem for the Yankees in this division. Nobody in this division is scared of them. Everybody in this division feels they have a shot when they face the Yankees, and when they see them, like this picture here, they feel they own the Yankees. The Rays right now, that picture says they feel they own the Yankees right now. That's what it says. And nobody in that division right now is scared of them. Let's go back even 2 years ago. AL East. The Yankees were a 500 team against their division, 26-26. The Orioles were 32-20 against the division that year. They were 3 back of the Yankees overall. So again, the Yankees struggle in their division. Last few years, that has been the case. That has been a major problem for them. And it's appearing to be a major problem for them again. And that is a concern moving forward. So that's where we are right now, folks. Again, would you have more confidence in the Yankees' ability to turn it around overall? Yes, because the back of the baseball card says they should, but it doesn't mean the red flags aren't there for later in the year. So that's where we stand. Yankees, 5-game losing streak. Mets, 5-game losing streak. Leave your thoughts below. We'll talk to you next time.